here. Welcome to another episode of Greatness Quest, and I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada with a really cool friend of mine. This is Chris Record, brother.
What's up?
Thanks for being here.
Glad
That's
to be
right. And we're actually at a training about how to get more traffic, and this man in the last few years has created some phenomenal success. Tell us what 3C here is.
3C stands for Create, Capture, Convert, which stands for create more traffic, capture more leads, convert more sales. And so that's what I'm all about, teach people how to create traffic, capture leads, convert sales, basically a whole funnel, and teach them how to fill that funnel with as much traffic as possible. We've been here all week teaching it.
I think it's been at least 7-8 days where we've been here just going at it about the income generating activities that we should be doing on a regular basis. So it's basically those 3 C's, and that's what we want to talk about. But just real quick, we're going to take a walk and go get some lunch.
Yeah, I'm starving. We're on break right now, so we're just going to freelance this whole thing.
Yeah, so we've had a room full of about 50, 60 people here?
Yeah, this is the mastermind. We had around 300 people for the weekend, and then we had a higher level mastermind where we get a lot more technical. So we've had maybe 30, 40 people here. And I'm excited that today's the last day. Then I get to go on a 2-day vacation with the wife. So I'm excited, but let's spend a few minutes with everybody and go get some food.
Well, and real quick, so let's go ahead and start walking. So you're on pace right now with your business to do close to 10 million, is that right?
Yeah, if I go, March to March, if I go calendar year, maybe more like 6 million. It's ramping up, and that's just gross income. That's not at all, all profit by any means.
Right, and we're talking, one of the things you've been talking about is making sure you reinvest and invest in your traffic. And would you say that traffic is the number one strategy, or what do you think actually people should focus on? Because that's what I'm here for.
Sure.
Is to find out more things that I can add to my business. And I know I need more leads. I know I need more traffic. I think that's the missing component I have.
Yeah, so of course I call it the Traffic Academy. So of course I think traffic is incredibly important, but I would say really the key word is scalability. I like traffic, especially paid traffic, because it's scalable. And so I think it's really scalability, whether it's paid traffic or not. You need to have something that you can scale easily. So like if you're like hitting a gold mine, how can you 10x that? How can you 100x it? So scalable traffic is really what I focus on, but also just scaling yourself, outsourcing, hiring employees. Like 2 years ago, I had no employees. I was working at a home office, and now here I have 3 offices, 7,000 square feet, and over $100,000 a month in employee overhead. So what that does is that—
Ouch, do you really?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Well, it's right at this exact moment, we just let go a few employees, so it's slightly dipped down less, but we're hiring 6 new programmers in the new Austin, Texas office. So the goal is $1 million a month in employee overhead. My first goal was $100,000 a month, and once I hit that, I said, now let's go to $1 million a month, because if I've got employees, that's leverage. If I have people out there, that's leverage. And if I'm making $100,000, if I have $100,000 a month in overhead, that means I'm making way more than $100,000 a month.
I know.
Because you can't sustain it. So I'm looking for a sustainable solution. So yeah, I want to have $1 million a month in overhead. Grant Cardone taught me a long time ago. He says, go out there and 10x your problems. Not just your income, not just your goals, 10x your problems too. And so I said, hey, let's 10x my employee overhead from $100,000 a month to $1 million a month, because I guarantee I'll be generating a lot of money if I pull that off.
So this is interesting, because for a while, when I was making the most money in my business a few years ago, I wanted to avoid taxes so massively that I was focused on spending a lot of money. I wanted to spend everything because I just didn't want to pay taxes. And then I realized, well, that was ridiculous. As far as a focus, I wanted a new goal to be, I want to pay $1 million a year in taxes.
Yeah.
Because what kind of money would you be making if that was your biggest problem? So I was like, all right, I want to set a new goal. Not that I'm going to love that time, but if you're making a ton of money, and so I hadn't thought about it from that perspective. What were you going to say?
Yeah, so, same thing, yeah. It's really just the summarizing thought is that if I want to scale my business, I think, what would a 10x business look like? If my business was, let's say, $10 million a year. If my business is doing $10 million a year, could I afford $1 million a year in overhead? Yes. So $100,000 a month in overhead? Yes. So I look at it and go, I'm probably going to be at $100,000 a month overhead if I want to have a $10 million a year business. So then I embraced it. Then I thought, it's not a really big deal. I'll go over $100,000 a month in overhead. So that's how I kind of set my goals. I kind of look at the big picture. I think if I was operating at that level, what would that look like? And then I kind of work backwards. I think backwards and I work backwards and get where I am now.
Okay, so it's really cool to talk about all your successes. And I want to go ahead and share with everybody that you weren't always freaking killing it. And you've had a pretty quick rise to success in the last couple of years. So bring and we only got a couple minutes before we're going to go to a break, but just go ahead and let's talk about Humble Chris instead of, I'm going to make all these big goals and everything's so cool. I'm teaching this workshop
go.
and look, we're in Vegas, baby, Vegas. So talk a little bit about where you've come from, some of those challenges at work.
Yeah, about it, but listen, it's kind of like, it's one of those weird situations where it's like, if I can do it, you can do it. When I grew up, when my parents were divorced, I lived with my mom. Section 8, housing, food stamps, welfare. I was a high school dropout, so I never even graduated high school. And the reason I went into entrepreneurship is because I didn't have the credentials for traditional jobs in America. I didn't have the resume, I didn't have the high school degree, I didn't have college, nothing like that. So basically, because I didn't have the credentials, I had to focus on being an entrepreneur. And so I started in sales. And I said, hey, look, commission-based sales, no guarantees. I just went out and started selling. And I'll tell you, I failed for many, many, many years. And even when I would have a rise, I would have a big dip afterwards for whatever reason. I can't even explain it. I would be on top of my game. I'd rest on my laurels a little bit. Next thing you know, I'd go through a big slump, and then I'd feel broke even after I'd made so much money. And then I'd repeat the process, going from making good money to making no money, to barely able to pay bills. And I hit rock bottom like 2 or 3 times. It was that crazy. But at the end of the day, what happened that was devastating was when we started having kids, my 2-year-old son got diagnosed with autism. Once he got diagnosed with autism, I'm gonna admit, I kind of became a recluse, and I kind of stepped back. And when that happened, I took like 6 months out of the business world and stopped. And that was just a couple years ago. I was 2.5 years ago. So imagine, just 2.5 years ago, I was depressed, in a financial state that was difficult. And from there, bouncing back to building a $10 million a year business.
We're going to take a quick break, grab some lunch, and talk to you in just a second. Okay, guys, welcome back. We're about to, actually, Chris has already started eating. We're talking about what are your income-producing activities for your business. We're in Las Vegas. That's the background and the noise. We're sitting at a food court here. This is Chris Record, by the way, who's on par to do $10 million this year with a few years ago, struggling, just sharing the story about how your son was diagnosed with autism and it kind of set you back. So what was the transition for you, as you have a mouthful of food, what was the transition for you? Like, what was that aha moment or shifted things for you?
Yeah, so imagine this situation, if you will. My wife's father passed away, which was very devastating for us and our family at the time. My son gets diagnosed with autism. My 2-year-old loses his speech, loses his communication, loses his social skills, really loses everything. Kind of sends us in a little bit of a trap. And then I go to my job. At the time, I'm working for a publicly traded company, trying to get kind of wealthy in the stock market by having options with the company. And I said, look, I got to back down and scale down my hours back. I was doing 80 hours a week. I wanted to scale down to about 40 hours a week, and that didn't fit. I couldn't be an executive for that company, only working basically the minimum amount of hours. So we got in a little tussle, and let's just say I ended up taking family over stock. And just imagine, if you will, that's where I was. I was all about 6 months, 9 months, whatever it was, about family, just focused. But my income started going down and down and down and down and down. I had what little amount of money I had in savings was just depleted. And I found myself depressed. I found myself, struggling. And if anybody's ever been in sales or stuff like that, and you go through cycles, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
And then it compounds itself.
It does. You make things worse. Like, what happens is you'll be able to fix the problem. You're stressed. Maybe you don't have money. You could easily go sell or go do something and make more money. But instead of doing that, you end up creating more problems, like getting in arguments with your spouse, or sleeping in, or drinking a lot of alcohol, so I was doing all that. I was over drinking, arguing with the spouse, and not focused on creating more income. And anybody's ever had a kid with a disability, it puts a lot of strain on a relationship too. So there I was, and I needed a boost. And that's when I first came across Grant Cardone, of all people, in this book called The 10X Rule. And I got the audio book, and I started listening to it. And he just kind of was speaking to me and kind of just telling me, just kind of, man up, take matters in your own hands, stuff like that. And I just put it on replay. I'm the kind of person that if I find something, I just like to do it over and over. So I put them on replay for 30 days straight. I never turned it off. I either turned it up or down. So I never turned it off. Grant Cardone was always there, faint in the background.
Are you serious? Like, hold on, you're talking like almost all the time that was the music in the background?
Not almost all the time. For 30 days straight. All the time.
All the time.
I basically have it's digital media, right? So I basically put up my my little stereo, I basically turned it up, so at night I'd put him in my headphones and I'd be listening to him, and then I'd fall asleep to him. And then in the morning when I woke up, I take it out and I take a shower and stuff, and I turn him up. But like, depending on the situation, if the kid's trying to sleep or my wife doesn't want to listen to Grant anymore, I just turn it down so it's faint. And then so if he's always there faint, or I might be in another room and he's in the other room still playing. So it's not like he's always on, but he's always there. So that when I walk in the room, I'll remind myself, I hear him talking and I'll go, oh, let me turn it up, and then I'll turn it up. So that way I'm always doing it. And it would be like, look, you got to take massive action. You got to go not only 10x your income, but 10x your problems. Go out there and think bigger, dream bigger, and do this and do this. And I'm just kind of like, yeah, man, you know what? I just got fired up. I just recaptured motivation, and I went from depression to motivation in about 30 days. And from there, I set big goals, and I mean, it's not the rest is history. This is some freaking hard work. It's more like the rest is hard work, but you know, I've been passionate ever since on a whole new level. And now, most I ever made was like 6 figures. Now, to make millions was one thing. To make over $1 million in a month was exciting. And now, I'm looking to make over $10 million in a year. Then I hope to make over $10 million in a month. Let's go for a 9-figure exit, and let's just scale life and live it to the fullest. And that's kind of where I'm at now.
Well, you got my attention. I followed, Chris has a great program for clients. He's created a lot of products to help people create results. One of them, the first one I got from you was Dark Post Profits, about how to run better Facebook marketing. Phenomenal product. You can check that out. Check out Chris Record, and you can find, actually, they can just search Chris Record and find you on Facebook, right?
Yeah, you can search Dark Post Profits or Chris Record. Record like a record player, record like a record breaker, or a record setter. For the record.
Just for the record.
Just for the record.
So, I thought that 10X book I mean, when I first got that 10X book, I didn't know what to expect, but I listened to it on audio also, and freaking loved it. So if you guys don't have that on audio, I highly recommend it. First time I experienced an audio program that transformed me was through Tony Robbins with his Get the Edge program. Mm-hmm. And I would go exercise every day, and I'd listen to that, or I'd do something around the house and I'd listen to it. And at that time we had CD players. Well, there was no MP3s back then. Whoa, way back then when we didn't have MP3 or iPads or a phone that does it all. But I remember one time, it was the 6th time I'd gone through the whole program, and I had one of the CDs in there, and I stopped the CD because I heard something that I thought I'd heard for the first time. And not only was it was so revolutionary to me, I opened the CD case to look at it. I was like, did I accidentally put in a CD I hadn't consumed before? Because I was like, no, that's disc number 4, or whatever it was.
This was new.
Because your mind can only process so much stuff. So that repetition, to hear that you did that and that contributed to transforming you, I think is freaking awesome.
Yeah, I'm the same exact way. If you were to listen to a whole book on audio, chances are you're not going to listen to all of it in one sitting. And chances are you're going to lose focus during that time, because books are long, audios are long. I like the audiobook because Grant does it himself.
Yeah.
And same with Anthony Robbins, actually.
Yeah,
all his audiobooks he does himself. So that's why I recommend the audiobook, but you can't stay focused. So sometimes you need to hear something, and then also it's where you are at in your life. So like day 1 I listen to it means one thing, but then after having listened to a whole book, then when I go back and listen to it means something totally different. And then 2 weeks later, when I'm starting to map out a game plan, then I re-listen to it means something entirely different. Right now, if I were to re-listen to it would mean something entirely different.
Totally.
So I love the experience of immersing myself into all of this kind of stuff. That's really what's big for me, is that immersion process. There's basically, if I could suggest anything to you right now, it would be find something that really resonates with you, whether it's an audiobook, a book, or whatever it is, or a YouTube channel, or a program like this, the show, and just dive into it and then say, how can I apply this into my life? Now, I like taking information and turning it into action. Information to action, information to action. To me, that's the most important thing. I don't want to be a consumer of information. I want to be a taker of massive action. Not a consumer of information, but a taker of massive action. So make sure whatever we're sharing today or whatever you consume, make sure you take immediate massive action on it. Otherwise, you're just filling your mind with information.
So let me go ahead and do this. I want to give everybody a gift, something that you've done in the past, and you've got an appreciation program, I think, like a 7-day program for client appreciation. I'm going to ask you to give something away. I want to give you the website now. We're going to come back in a few seconds for right after the break. But go to greatnessquest.com/3C, and you're going to get the gift. You're on watching Greatness Quest here with Chris Record in Vegas, and we just finished lunch. Sorry to make you endure that. I can't believe we're eating tacos during the show.
Spicy tacos. They actually put ghost pepper sauce on them for us. We didn't tell you that.
Not very spicy though. So hold on, let's step away from that loud noise here. Chris, tell them go to greatnessquest.com/3C.
3C.
And we're going to give you a free gift. Tell them about your customer appreciation. I know you made these videos before, but tell them.
Don't lie.
Apparently, you shouldn't lie.
You got to listen to that guy.
He knows what he's talking about. Tell them a little bit about what they're going to get.
Yeah, so what I did was I did a series of 7 training videos. There's some more videos, audios, and articles. But when you go to /3C, Greatness Quest /3C, which the link will be on the screen, I'll make sure that you get the recordings of those because I think it's so valuable. For example, in one of the modules, we talk about overcoming sales objections, where I talk about here's all the most common sales objections I've been approached with in kind of my career, and I kind of overcome each one. Everything from not having the money, lack of time, lack of money, lack of knowledge, lack of resources, my wife won't let me, or whatever all the objections might be, what my spin and take on that is. As well as I talk about bridge marketing. I think bridge marketing is one of the most useful techniques for any entrepreneur. Bridge marketing is taking it and making whatever it is that you're marketing, selling, promoting, and bridging it over to a new audience. Like I might say I have traffic. I teach people how to get traffic. Well, I teach people how to get traffic for real estate agents, traffic for internet marketers, traffic for speakers, coaches, authors, entrepreneurs, traffic for network marketers, traffic for small business owners, traffic for pizza shop owners. It can be as specific as you want. What I teach is the concept of making something scalable for multiple niches and then using a bridge to bridge the gap between you and that custom audience. And that training is phenomenal. I teach all kinds of angles there. Tons of free value. Obviously, you can have it for free as my gift here for coming out on the show today.
Well, that's pretty awesome. And, I'm thinking we're here in Vegas, so go get that and make sure you follow Chris Record. You got to go ahead and get some of his training. You talked just recently about, just on the last little part here, you talked about how important it is to immerse yourself and how you never want to stop being a student. I mean, one of the reasons I spent the last week here with you and I extended my stay like 5 days to
last minute.
Last minute, cost me like $300 to change my flight, but I wanted to stay just so that I can get the extra immersion and really learn what's going on and to take my marketing and my traffic to the next level. So what you're talking about here with bridge marketing, I'm grateful that I didn't know you were going to give that as a gift to them because that's what we've been talking about a lot here. So that's excellent. We're here in Vegas and everybody here is gambling, and I think that one of the shifts is, we have a whole bunch of people here using the slot machine. So talk a little bit about like how people typically market, or because I think a lot of marketers are gambling. They're like scared to spend their advertising and marketing dollars because it feels like they're doing a slot machine where they throw their money in and then they're just pulling down the chain.
And you can lose it all.
Then they're like, and maybe they win and they're like, woohoo, but they don't really know how. I mean, you're doing this you've shifted into a lot of paid advertising.
Yeah.
How does somebody not gamble with their marketing and advertising dollars?
Okay, so I'll hit that 2 different angles. The first angle was that when I first gambled, quote unquote gambled with my paid traffic dollars, it didn't work. It failed. I spent about $2,000 on a couple different types of ads and it didn't work. And so I gave up on it. I kind of even talked trash about paid advertising as something that wasn't good for the average person because I lost money and I wasn't happy with my experience, and so I stopped doing paid advertising. And then a couple years later, I revisited it because my friend was having success. I had to see social proof from an actual friend of mine who was having success. Once I saw that social proof, I thought, okay, I can do this. So I modeled after someone I saw that actually showed me the results, and then I started having success. Then I became a believer. I said, okay, paid traffic is a lot more real than I thought, and it's scalable. Meaning, if I could flip $100 and make $200, then I could flip 1,000 and make 2,000. I could flip 10,000 to make 20,000. I could flip 50,000 to make 100,000. 100,000 to make $1 million, to make 10 million, to make 100 million. It's scalable.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of it out there. So the first thing is I had to first come to the conclusion, convincing myself, believing myself in paid traffic. Now the second part of that is really getting specific there. The reason I like paid traffic is because of data. It's so much better. Data. Today we spent literally like 2 hours on Facebook, showing how as an advertiser on Facebook, you have access to every single demographic being able to know to a T what age range buys your stuff, what gender buys your stuff, what location buys your stuff, what percentage your ROI is on every single one of those groups. You can place one blanket ad, what we call a broad ad, place one blanket ad, let's say spend $100, and you're buying $100 worth of data. Then you stop it, you look at the ad and you go, oh wow, it turns out women ages 35 to 55 were basically the primary buyers where I got the best ROI. Everybody else was kind of losing money. Well, there's not many industries you can do that. If you buy a TV commercial or a billboard or a yellow page ad, it's basically pay and pray model. Pay and pray that it works, right? Pay and just let it go and pray that it works. Hope people walk through your door. But with Facebook advertising, you can use a small amount of money, figure out who your target market is, then use a little bit more money on that target market, and then if it works, scale it. You scale it out. And I teach proper ways to do that, but you scale this thing out, and you can go literally to the point where you're driving hundreds of thousands of visitors any direction that you want. You can become a traffic controller. And once you master the traffic game, unlimited wealth, unlimited abundance, unlimited income in any niche you want.
I don't want to do all of the things in my business. You talked about scalability. I only have so much time in my day to do all the things, and to be great at Twitter and great at Facebook and great at LinkedIn and great at writing copy and great at making sales and great at service delivery. That's not a scalable skill for me. So I've got teams, I try to align myself with partners and employees and teams and joint ventures, whatever you call it, so that you can so I don't have to do all that stuff. Now that said, it doesn't mean that you don't need a working knowledge of what these strategies are, and so that you know how to deploy them, because you can get taken to the cleaners.
Yes,
if you
which a lot of people do.
Right. I mean, a lot of my clients will come after they've already lost a bucket load of money that they invested in the wrong guy or gal who promised them, I don't know, some kind of false promise that doesn't get delivered. So what is a good way for somebody, what would you recommend to somebody to get started? And, hold on, and not just that, but let's talk about, because you do a lot of ninja things. I mean, with social media and marketing things changing all the time, there are trends, right? And so you have you're on the cusp of what the newest things are, and how people can miss out on those opportunities. Again, I guess I'm asking you a huge question here. What do you recommend somebody does to take advantage of trends? Is one question. And then the second one is, how do they go ahead and find the right people to help them grow their social media?
Yeah, so let's kind of take this in a big picture approach. First things first, I too am busy. Very busy.
Really?
Right. I run in employees and training.
How many employees
I'm traveling.
do you have?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Well, it's about $100,000 in total overhead of employees, in the dozens. But but I pay a little bit higher amount per employee because I like getting really good employees.
Well, and you're also invested for the future, because I keep seeing in all your marketing, it's not about just trying to have a positive, immediate ROI, but building a relationship as well.
I'm all about the future. Everything I'm doing right now, we are in the year 2015, and everything I'm doing is planning for the year 2017. I'm not a believer in getting rich quick. I'm a believer in getting rich right. And I want to get rich right. I want to get rich sustainable. I don't want to go through so many more ups and downs. I'm tired of all of those ups and downs. I'm sick of it. I want to build sustainable income. I want to build recurring income. I want to build legacy income. I want to build philanthropy income. I want to build balance in my life. So it's not just making money. It's also about what I call the 5 F's: faith, family, friends, fitness, and finances. Really having that balance. And so for me, that's important. So because I'm busy, I don't like to do it all myself. So here's a tip that I have for everybody. Learn enough about something so that you can pay someone else to do it. Learn enough about it so that you can effectively pay someone else to do it. The problem people have is they skip right to paying somebody to do it. Well, when you go right to paying somebody to do it, you can get taken to the cleaners. Or they try to do it all themselves. When you try to do it all yourself, it's not scalable.
Those are the
not
most
scalable.
That's the deadly
You got to
mistake
find the balance.
right there.
You got to find the balance between those two. Learn enough about something. So don't be afraid. You might be going, I don't have the time to do this, okay? But just like you were talking about, but you're still here. Why am I here? Why are you here? Because we're going to learn enough about this so that we can go and we can hire the right people, show them what to do, and then scale it so that we can be doing what we want to do with our time, our best income producing activities, but yet leveraging our money with proper leverage. And that's how, when I say I want to go from $100,000 a month in overhead to over $1 million a month in overhead, it's not that I just want to spend money. I mean, nobody wants to spend. I mean, I'd rather make money than spend money. It's because I want to learn strategies that I can teach people how to do that they can then go scale the money, get the money working for me, get the money working for them. Win-win. And so, that's when you're saying the big tip. Now, the last part of your question was kind of more about these trending things. Well, I like to stay on the cusp of things. I like to stay right on the cusp of things. Like I was looking at Grant Cardone lately. There's this new social media site called Periscope that just came out. Now he's live streaming, he's doing all this stuff. Now I'm not going to be a social media junkie and go join every single network, but it's good to learn from others when they do. I watch Grant, and he goes, if I'm going to jump into this new network, I'm not going to be a user, I'm going to dominate that network. And that's what he does when he jumps into things. And I think there's a lesson to be learned there. He's not distracted. He doesn't have broken focus. He recognizes a new trend is emerging, positions himself in front of it, and figures out, how can I dominate this market? When something's new, there's less competition. So he goes, hey man, if this thing goes big, I want to be ahead of everybody else. I want to jump ahead of the trend on everybody. So he takes the gamble and the risk of being part of something that might fail, but at the same time, he doesn't just go in, he goes in big. And that's my attitude. That's my 10X attitude. It's like, look, I'm either going to win big or I'm going to fail big. There's not going to be any in between. You're either growing or you're dying.
If Grant watches this, he's going to be like, man, that's from my book. Okay, so that's cool. So, I think I call it, I think it's the entrepreneur's job to come up with three things: systemized knowledge, or strategic knowledge, and then a system that you can go ahead and deploy it in your business, and you're talking about scalability, and then the ability to get someone else to actually deploy it. So hold on, we're about to go into the conference room here, and there's a good backdrop.
Got the 3C in the background.
Those are all your brands back there. So I've created some amazing software. You want to talk about any of those before we finish up?
Oh, I will give a quick little tip for everybody
cool.
watching right now. Is when you build a brand, or when you start a company or start an offshoot or a product label or anything like that, build it in a way, use so much forward thinking that you build it in a way that later on it could be purchased, it could be acquired by somebody. So as an example, like looking in the background there, I've got Bridge Pages, a software for bridge marketing. I've got 7-Figure Traffic Academy where we talk about traffic. I've got Smart Member, a software that builds smart membership websites. 3C, Create, Capture, Convert Conference. Speed Blogging, a tool that's basically for WordPress, which powers like half the internet out there. So I use my brand, my credibility, my resources to launch the products, but then in evergreen status, which means as these products continue to sell for years and years and years, it no longer requires my brand. So I launch the products with my brand and then let the brand go in evergreen. What that does is later on somebody might want to come and acquire it. If the brand is dependent on me, okay, if the brand, this is my orange hat brand. I always wear an orange hat and everything. If it depends on me, then it's going to be hard to sell because if I get hit by a bus or a train or whatever, then the product is less valuable. But if I could build the software, use my brand to initially boost it, and then let that software go, it's powerful. So even this 3C event, I could have called it, the Chris Record Mastermind, but then nobody would ever want to acquire it. Instead, I call it the 3C event. We had hundreds of people here. Next time we'll have thousands, and then eventually someone will come and want to acquire that for millions of dollars, and it's a brand that somebody else could take and run. So think of every single brand and product and thing that you create as forward thinking. 5 years from now, if this company grew, if somebody bought it, would the brand require me, or can I get out of the way and let the brand run itself?
Which we just came full circle then, and this is the first question I asked you, which is not the answer I thought you were going to give, was around scalability. I said, what's the number one thing? And I thought you were going to talk about traffic, and we did, but it's a shift of focus of the end game, which is scalability so that you can grow it to the point that you want to get yourself out of it. And you're involved in it now, working your ass off. So any last words to anybody who's to our team watching here?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's great you brought up that point. I think it's a good point to end on, which is, yes, I do think traffic's important, because where I see most people fail is great systems, great sales, great funnel, great everything, not enough traffic, or not enough in your pipeline, okay, depending on whatever business you're in. So yes, I believe in a full pipeline. I believe that sales solves most problems in business. Absolutely. More revenue solves most of your growing pains. Whatever problems you're facing in business, probably dump an extra $1 million on it and it solves it. So I always believe in having a full pipeline, having some sort of scalable way. But traffic is just traffic. Leads is just leads. You know what's really important? Being able to build something that can run without you, a recurring revenue machine, something that literally you can have a business that you could be off in Hawaii on vacation and it's running without you. So work your ass off to build it, but then let your business work its ass off to build itself.
Sounds great. Okay, guys, every week I'm bringing you somebody extraordinary to blow up your business. This week, Chris Record, my friend, thanks for being here. Yeah. You got it. And we'll see you next week on
Greatness Quest is also available for download on iTunes and Stitcher. See the link in the description below.